जयो गुरुदेवा जयो गुरुदेवा जयो गुरुदेवा जयो गुरुदेवा। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवराजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर सता श्री श्रीमद् अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवराजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर सता श्री श्रीमद् भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की। राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिराज गोवर्धन जी महाराज की जय। गौर निताय भगवान की जय। जगन्नाथ भगवान की जय। बलदेव भगवान की जय। सुभद्रा माई की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा गोपीनाथ भगवान की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayam udirayet Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke Bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 15, Text 1. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Maitre Vacha Atatasya Punarviprer Aputrasya Mahipate Bahubhyam Mathya Nabhyam Mithunam Sampadayata. Maitre Vacha Attatasya Punarviprer Aputrasya Mahipate Bahubhyam Mathyamanya Mithunam Sampadayata. Maitre Vacha Atatasya Punarvipre Aputrasya Mahipate Bahubhyam Mathyamanabhya Mithunam Sampadayata. Synonyms. Maitre Vacha. Maitre continued to speak. Atha, thus, tasya, his, puna, again, we pray, by the Brahmanas, aputrasya, without a son, mahipate, of the king, bahubhyam, from the arms, mathamanabhyam, being churned, mithunam, a couple, sampadayata, took birth. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sage Maitreya continued, My dear Vidura, thus the Brahmanas and the great sages again churned the two arms of King Vena's dead body. As a result, a male and female couple came out of his arms. There's no purport in this shloka, so we'll read Canto 4, Chapter 15, Text 2. Taddrishtava mithunam gyatam ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिना उचु परमा संतुष्टा विदित्वा भागवत कालम तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिना उचु परम संतुष्टा विदित्वा भगवत कलाम तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिना उच परमा संतुष्टा विदित्वा भगवत कलाम. प्रभुजी. तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिना उचो परम संतुष्टा विदित्वा भगवत्कलाम्. तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिना उचो परम संतुष्टा विदित्वा भगवत्कलाम्. तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिना उचो परम संतुष्टा विदित्वा भगवत्कलाम्. तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिना उचो परम संतुष्टा विदित्वा भगवत्कलाम्. तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिनः उचो परम संतुष्टा विदित्वा भगवत्कलाम्. तद्दृष्ट्वा मिथुनं जातं ऋषयो ब्रह्मवादिना उच परम संतुष्टा विदित्वा भगवत्कलाम्. Synonyms: tat, that; drishtava, seeing; mithunam, couple; jatam, born; rishaya, the great sages; brahmavadina, very learned in Vedic knowledge; uchu, said; parma, very much; santushta, being pleased; viditva, knowing; Bhagavat, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead; Kalam, expansion. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The great sages were highly learned in Vedic knowledge. When they saw the male and female born of the arms of Vena's body, they were very pleased, for they could understand that the couple was an expansion of a plenary portion of Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. The method adopted by the great sages and scholars who were learned in Vedic knowledge was perfect. They removed all the reactions of King Vena's sinful activities by saying that King Vena first gave birth to Bahuka, described in the previous chapter. After King Vena's body was thus purified, a male and female came out of it, and the great sages could understand that this was an expansion of Lord Vishnu. This expansion, of course, was not Vishnu Tattva, but a specifically empowered expansion of Lord Vishnu known as Avesha. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Welcome all to the Saturday Bhagavatam class. I'm not at all qualified to sit here and, give a class here. Please give me your blessing so that I can do my service. So this is a very beautiful shloka, and we can see that how the sages are so merciful. So we can see in the previous chapter that how churning of the body of the Vena, King Vena, the first came Bahuka, which was the representation of all his impurities. So this verse has actually got three themes. First is the power of the sages or the pure devotees and their compassion. The second theme is purification process. And the third is Vishnu Tattva, which Prabhupada touched in the purport in the last few lines. So the first is that the compassion of the pure devotees or the sages. So we can see that they actually made King Vena the king in the first place for the welfare of the humankind, so that all the religious activities could be performed properly in a kingdom, which would be beneficial for everyone. But then when they saw that King Vena was a dharmic person, he did not follow the principles, so they had to kill King Vena, again for the benefit of the humankind and all the jivas. And then they saw that there was predominance of thieves and rooks in the kingdom. That would again cause disturbance. So they could have stayed neutral after that, but they still again intervened. And then they again churned the body of King Vena. So then after churning, first the impurities came out, which was in the form of Bahuka. And after that they churned the arms of the King Vena, and then King Prathu and Mata Archi appeared. So we can see from the Srimad Bhagavatam as well, like there are other examples of the mercy and compassion of the great sages like Lord Narada. So Narad Muni had the compassion on Dhruva Maharaj. We can see from that example that Dhruva Maharaj, a young boy insulted by the stepmother, goes to forest on the advice of his mother to perform austerity and to find Lord Vishnu to fulfill his desire. But he did not know the process, he did not know where to find Lord Vishnu. But then Narad Muni appeared in front of him, again with the mercy of the Lord. So then he gives him the path, the process, and how to perform the devotional service. And then again we can see that he had compassion on the sons of Kubera. So they became the trees after getting the... It was not really a curse, it was a benediction for them because they were delivered by Lord himself. So then we can see mercy of Vyasadeva, that Vyasadeva could foretell the future, that what would be the state of people in general in Kali Yuga. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text 17 and 18, in translation, Prabhupada says, the great sage who was fully equipped in knowledge could see through his transcendental vision the deterioration of everything material due to the influence of the age. He could also see that the faithless people in general would be reduced in duration of life and would be impatient due to lack of goodness. Thus he contemplated for the welfare of men in all statuses and orders of life. So he gives all the Vedas, he gives the Upanishads, and then he was not satisfied. And then his Guru, again, the mercy of Narad Muni, so he tells him to write Srimad Bhagavatam to glorify the Lord. And so he gives us this Amal Purana to all the fallen people of Kali Yuga for their benefit. So we can see how merciful the sages are. And then we have example of Srila Prabhupada. Because of his mercy, we got the process. We got so many temples, we got deities, books, Prashadam, Kirtan. So you can name it like Ratha Yatras and all, everything that we can see around us is all mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So great sages are very compassionate. They can see how difficult it would be for the general masses without their help to progress in spiritual life. So he also gave us the ISKCON Guru Vrinda. So in his physical absence, his disciples will continue to enlighten the masses. We can see from the song Yadi Prabhupada na hoite. So who else would have distributed the unlimited mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Gauranga all over the world? Who would have endeavored to deliver the miscreant, sinful, impersonalistic and voidistic people in the West? Who would have given us so many festivals such as Rath Yatra? So you can see the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. The great sages are very, very compassionate. The second thing about the great sages is that they are not afraid to tell the truth. So when King Vena was performing all the irreligious activities, then the sages approached him and then they still tried to show him the right path. That you're not doing the right thing, you need to do the right thing for benefit of everyone. Of course, he did not listen to them. So they are not shy from performing their duty and telling the truth. And Srila Prabhupada gave us Bhagavad Gita as it is. There is no sugarcoating. As it is, the message of the Lord coming through the parampara, He's given us in Bhagavad Gita as it is, and all His books. So we can see that they are not afraid of telling the truth. And then they are Trikala Jana, so they can foretell or they can see the past, present and future. In one of the lectures of Srila Prabhupada from 1976, he says, Yamraj, Lord Brahma and great personalities, they know the three features of time. And then in again same shloka, Bhagavatam Canto 1, Chapter 4, shloka 17-18, in the purport he says, as an astrologer can see the future fate of man, or an astronomer can foretell the solar and lunar eclipses, those liberated souls who can see through the scriptures can foretell the future of all mankind. They can see this due to their sharp vision of spiritual attainment. And all such transcendentalists who are naturally devotees of the Lord are always eager to render welfare service to the people in general. So they can see what's going to come, how we can help the people in future and present. So they are not ordinary jivas, they are the liberated souls and compassionate towards the living entities. Now, why are the sages so powerful? What makes them so powerful? So association of the Supreme Lord then one soon gets the qualities of the Supreme. So that's why they become so powerful. Strict followers of principles of Dharma. So they never deviate from the principles of Dharma. They're always following Dharma. And then they are performing so many austerities. So that again makes them so much powerful. And they are considered as Lord's Vibhuti Shakti, portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 27, in the translation it says, all the rishis, Manus, demigods and descendants of Manu, who are specially powerful, are plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. This also includes the Prajapatis. In the purport, those who are comparatively less powerful are called Vibhuti, and those who are comparatively more powerful are called Avesha or incarnations. So all these sages are actually Vibhutis. So they are very, very powerful because of their pure devotional service to the Lord. They are already liberated souls. That's why they are so powerful. They have no influence of the material contamination. Although they are in the material body, but they are beyond the conception of material life. So where can we see these sages and how can we associate with them? So we can see them we can associate with them in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. We can see them in the books of Srila Prabhupada, in the words of our spiritual masters. So our spiritual masters are these sages as well. So they are actually, pure devotees of the Lord, and by associating with their Vani, we are actually associating with the great sages. So this is how we can associate with the sages in this age. Now, so here we understand that the sages are so powerful and they are so compassionate, and every activity they perform is for the benefit and for uplifting of all the other jivas. Now then the second theme is the purification. So we can see that the sages churn the body of King Vena, and then the first Bahuka comes out, and he represents the contamination, and then he became the father of the race Naishada. They are very sinful people. They were not even allowed to live in the cities. They were performing all sorts of sinful activities, and so they were living in forest and the hills. So churning is a purification process. So first what comes out is impurities. So the example is in Srimad Bhagavatam, then the churning of the ocean, what came first? The halahal, the poison came out first. So this is compared to the anarthas. This came before all the other transcendental items that appeared from the churning of the ocean. Now we can compare this to chanting process as well. So when we start chanting, what comes out first? All the impurities. So the dust, so the example is given like a room which has been left closed for quite some time, and then dust accumulates on the floor and all on the objects of within that room. So when somebody opens the door, starts sweeping, what happens? The dust rises and then fills the air. So then we say, oh, where is that dust come from? It was actually there. So same thing, the chanting, the dust which has been in our heart, it has settled for millions of years or millions of lives, and then suddenly start chanting, the dust rises. So we start seeing, we start getting all these thoughts, and then we think, oh, what is happening? Now I have started chanting, I am doing the pure process. Why I am getting all these thoughts? So the first thing which comes out is the impurity for any churning process. So even chanting is a churning and the purifying process. So this just means that if we keep chanting without getting disturbed, eventually the heart will be purified. And then who will appear in our heart? Like King Vena's, first churning came as Bahuka, and then came King Prathu and Archi Mata. So same thing, when we start chanting and all the impurities go away from our heart, then Krishna will appear in our heart with the mercy of our Guru. Now this has been also nicely explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 2, Text 8 by Srila Prabhupada. So when Devaki Mata, so she is representative of bhakti, and she is fearful of Kansa, which is material life. So she is fearful of the material life. And then from her mind comes the Marichi, and Marichi has 6 sons. So we'll discuss in the purport. And they are killed first, and then who comes? Ananta Shesha. And he makes sure everything is okay for Krishna to appear there. And then Krishna appears, because Ananta Shesha is then transferred to Mother Rohini's womb. So in the purport it says, symbolically Mother Devaki's constant fear of Kansa was purifying her. A pure devotee should always fear material association. And in this way all the asuras of material association will be killed, as the Sat Garbha Suras were killed by Kansa. It is said that from the mind Marichi appears. In other words, Marichi is an incarnation of mind. Marichi has 6 sons: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, and Matsarya. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appears in pure devotional service. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Bhaktir evenam darshyati. Only bhakti can bring one in contact with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared from the womb of Devaki, and therefore Devaki symbolically represents bhakti, and Kansa symbolically represents material fear. When a pure devotee always fears material association, his real position of bhakti is manifested, and he naturally becomes uninterested in material enjoyment. When the 6 sons of Marichi are killed by such fear, and one is freed from material contamination within the womb of bhakti, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears. Thus, the 7th pregnancy of Devaki signifies the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After the 6 sons, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mad, and Matsarya are killed, the Shesha incarnation creates a suitable situation for the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, when one awakens his natural Krishna consciousness, Lord Krishna appears. This is the explanation given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So we can see that how pure bhakti, fear of material life or material association, and then killing of all these 6 anarthas, then the heart becomes a suitable place for the appearance of the Lord. Because this example is very nicely explains that first the impurities will come out, and then once they are removed, then it's a suitable place and ideal situation for the Lord to appear in our heart. So how does this apply to us? The process is given by Srila Prabhupada. And what is the process? 3 things are there: chanting the holy names, listening to and about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and glorifying the Lord. So listening to the Lord is directly listening to the Lord from Bhagavad Gita, and listening about the Lord like in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then glorifying the Lord, then associating and serving the devotees. But the key, all 3 processes are very important and are equally important, but the key for us is chanting, because chanting will purify us more than the other processes. So this gives us why chanting is so important, because it gives us the direct path to our goal. The goal is to get rid of this material life and go back to Goloka in our original consciousness as a servant of Krishna. And then it gives us direct connection with the Lord, and then it purifies us regard of what stage of chanting we are. So after my Guru Maharaj's class, the message came out only this morning, and he said Srila Prabhupada gave devotees of ISKCON the chanting and shelter of the holy name. The holy name is non-different from Krishna. So chanting the holy name means you can immediately get the association of Krishna. Wherever we are, we can always immediately take shelter of the holy name. But actually, since Krishna and his name are non-different, the more we can chant avoiding the offenses, the better it is. Lord Chaitanya prayed in the Shikshashtaka that chanting of the holy name cleanses the consciousness like cleaning a dusty mirror, and our consciousness becomes clean. So although some of the devotees don't see the importance of chanting, chanting is the best way for new or old or all the devotees to advance in Krishna consciousness. Hari Bol. So the chanting is the most important, and that's the key feature in the method of purification. And Krishna is unlimitedly powerful. So Krishna, since there is no difference between him and his name, So when we are chanting Krishna's names, we are with the all powerful, and that's how we saw in the previous theme that how the sages become so powerful, because they are directly associating with the Supreme Lord. Now, what to speak of intentionally trying to associate with the Lord? Like, I mean, the potency of that. We can see from the example of Ajamil, it was an unintentional chanting of the Lord's name. He was calling his son, and it was unintentional. And the benefit he reaped from that unintentional chanting of the holy name. So imagine the potency of intentionally chanting the names of the Lord, regardless of what stage of chanting we are, whether it is offensive or pure devotional service. So then how do we know that the chanting is effective? So I was listening to the lecture from Her Grace Ranga Devi Dasi, and she beautifully explains this, and she's taken the excerpts from the lectures of Nitai Sevani Mataji and Giriraj Swami Maharaj. So then she says that how do we know that the chanting is effective? So when we know that the goal is to go back, the chanting is purifying irrespective of the stage of chanting. So even if we do offensive chanting, what happens is, it is still purifying us, but that can make us complacent. So we really take it for granted, this mercy or the opportunity that we have been provided is very rare, and we get it after so many millions of births. But then when we get this opportunity, we take it for granted, and then we can become complacent. So we have to be very serious in our sadhana. So how do we know that the chanting is effective? So the self-assessment is that whether we are feeling the taste when we are chanting, and then if we are feeling the taste, then two things will happen. First is tendency to fault find in others will reduce. Then we know that we are on the right track. That's the first thing. And the second thing is whether our relationship with Krishna is active or passive. Now this is a very important thing. So what does passive association with Krishna or relationship with Krishna means? So this is again from Mataji was explaining, this had come from Nitai Sevani Mataji's lecture. So what is passive association or relationship with Krishna? So we chant 16 rounds, follow our 4 regulative principles, perform our morning sadhana whether in the temple or at home, then we go to work, then we come back in the evening, then again prepare bhoga, offer it to the Lord, perform aarti and sleep, and then do some seva aligned around our routine. Now this cycle goes on, and this is actually my life. But this is passive relationship. This is not active relationship according to, and I was kind of shocked to hear when I heard this that, oh wow, actually I am also in a passive relationship, because this is my life actually, this is what I'm talking for myself. I mean, I'm sure all of you are, pure devotees and a much higher platform. So I'm just talking for myself. This is my life. So, and then from Nectar of Instruction in Shloka 2, so in the 4th section it says, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement. So this is what actually I am doing. So that's why my relationship is passive. So we do things which are ought to be done, and then we can become complacent, thinking that we take it for granted, as I said. There's nothing wrong with that, because what can be worse? Having no relationship with Krishna. At least better to have a passive relationship. So when we hear, an example is when we hear about Vaishnava Aparad, like we get really scared, the results of Vaishnava Aparad. So sometimes we think that, oh, it's better not to associate with devotees, then I would avoid any kind of Vaishnava Aparad. And I mean, honestly, this thought came to me many times, and I said, oh well. But then, what would happen if we don't associate? We would miss out on so much of mercy and so much of blessings. And then by associating, we can easily progress, because it's so much easier in association than doing it all by yourself. So it is better to associate with devotees, commit some mistakes, no problems, because Vaishnavas are very merciful. They will forgive us easily, you know. So it is always better. So we can still take a chance and associate. And it's much, much better. So rather than avoiding that relationship, we should actually actively associate with them. So this is where an example is like of passive relationship. So now what is active relationship with Krishna? So we are doing everything what I mentioned previously, but what we are doing it very joyfully. And that is an active relationship. We were most of the time just doing as a matter of duty, because it has been, the process has been given to us, we are just following it. But when we do it joyfully and we actually getting joy, we are feeling the bliss, then we are in an active relationship. And the symptoms are that we have gratitude towards our spiritual master, towards Srila Prabhupada, and towards Krishna, to give us, that they have given us this process. Then there are tears, and then we talk to Krishna, and so on and so forth. So these are the symptoms of active relationship. But then I may think that this might be pure devotional service, what I am talking. But no, this is not pure devotional service. It just means that we are getting better and we are purifying ourselves. And very soon we will get pure love of Krishna. So we are progressing. We are getting closer, but we are not there yet. So what is the test? You know, when do we know that we are purified and we are having active relationship with Krishna? So test of faith in Krishna. So first is knowledge about Krishna, which we get from the scriptures and associating with devotees, hearing to the lectures. Then belief in Krishna, which comes from knowledge as well as hearing from Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. And then the third thing is trust in Krishna. So the trust comes in Krishna. I'm just quoting from the same lecture. Trust in Krishna equates to total conviction and surrender that no matter what comes my way, Krishna is my only true well-wisher, and my actions should match my conviction. This is the component that needs strengthening in our relationship with Krishna, is not an active one. So, I can give an example. There's a story about a lady in a village and her husband has leprosy. And on top of it, he has other problems as well. So the elders of the village tell her, okay, you take her to Kashi. If he takes a dip in Gangaji, his leprosy will be cured. And then everyone in the village is telling her, do that. So she says, okay, fine. So then she's taking her to the Kashi and the other villagers are with her. But the husband is also handicapped and he has other problems. So she's tired after some time. So then she would ask help from the other villagers. Okay, well, I can't do it on my own. Would you be able to help us? And then they say, no, your husband has leprosy. So if we touch him, then it is, we can also get it. So then she says, but you have been telling me that you take him to Kashi, he will take a dip in Gangaji and he will be cured of his disease. So even if you get it, you are also going there. If you get a leprosy, you will also dip in Gangaji and you will be cured even if you get it. And then they were like, they all ran away. So this is the faith, they were like strongly convicted, but small test came and then they all disappeared. And this, in my case it happens very often, yes, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And then suddenly some problem comes and then, my faith is like all, shaken. So this happens in everybody's life, I'm sure. But so that's where, when our faith is so strong, of course we're talking about different stages of sadhana and bhakti. So when that faith is that strong, we know that our relationship with Krishna is active. And there's nothing else in the world who can protect us. Nothing else apart from shelter of the spiritual master and Krishna's mercy. So we need to try and work and do our sadhana in a way where our relationship progresses from passive to active. But having passive relationship is better than having no relationship. So we should not be discouraged if our relationship is not converting actively. then the other story is, again the same faith thing, the story of the cobbler and the Brahmana. So Naraji thinks that Brahmana is, doing his devotional service so nicely, he will go back in the same life, and the cobbler, he would take so many lifetimes, and he goes to Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu says, well, the cobblers will come back in this life, and Brahmana will take millions of births. And then he gives a small test that, just go and tell them. They will ask, what was Lord doing in Vaikuntha? And you tell them that I was passing a big elephant through the small hole of a needle. So, and then, of course, the Brahmana did not believe, and cobbler said, what did he say? I'm sure everybody knows that story. That if Lord can put such a big, so he was sitting under the banyan tree, and he said, if the Lord can put such a huge banyan tree in a small seed, what's the big thing in passing an elephant through the hole of the needle? So he had no doubt, his complete faith in the words of Vaishnava and in its Lord. But the Brahmana did not have. So that's why it's so important that, having that faith in Krishna, every word of our acharyas and in the Shastra, whatever is there is so true, and you follow it with full conviction. Then the last theme is and I'll briefly touch on it, is the Saktavesh Avatara. So Prabhupada in the purport is saying that a male and female come out, and the great sages could understand that this was an expansion of Lord Vishnu. Now this expansion, of course, was not Vishnu Tattva, but a specifically empowered expansion of Lord Vishnu known as Avesha. So there is a chart as well. So I've taken this from the chart that Krishna is the Swam Rupa in the Goloka, and his original form is a cowherd boy in Vrindavan, and then from him comes the Vaibhava Prakasha, which is the first expansion, Balaram, and then from him comes the Vilasa or Prabhava Prakasha. So then there are 4 Vishnus, and then from there also 4 Vishnu come. So then they have the Swayam Prakasha, where they have the 6 different types of incarnations. So Leela Avatara, so we know there are 10 Leela Avataras. Then there are Purusha Avataras, so Mahavishnu, Karnodakshai Vishnu, and Garbhodakshai Vishnu. And then we have the Guna Avataras, so Lord Vishnu, Brahmaji, and Lord Shiva. And then we have the Saktavesh Avataras. And after that we have Manvanta Avataras, and then Yuga Avataras. So Shaktavesh Avatara, I took this quote from, or in the purport from Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.246. And it says the Shaktavesh Avatara are categorized into, first, forms of divine absorption, Bhagavad Avesha, such as Kapila Dev and Rishabdev. Second, divinely empowered forms, Shaktavesha, of whom 7 are foremost. The first one is Sheshanag in the Vaikuntha world, empowered for the personal service of the Supreme Lord, Swa Sevana Shakti. Then second is Ananta Deva, empowered to bear all the planets within the universe, Bhudharna Shakti. Then third is Lord Brahma, empowered with the energy to create the cosmic manifestation, Shashti Shakti. Then we have the Chatursana or the Kumara, specifically empowered to distribute transcendental knowledge, Jnana Shakti. Then we have Narad Muni, empowered to distribute devotional service, Bhakti Shakti. Then sixth is Maharaj Prithu, specifically empowered to rule and maintain the living entities, Palana Shakti. And then 7 is Parshuram, specifically empowered to cut down rogues and demons, Dushta Damana Shakti. So we can see here that 7 foremost Shaktavesh Avatara, there are many more. They have been explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then Maharaj Prithu is specifically empowered to rule and maintain the living entities, Palana Shakti. And we would see from the other pastimes of Prithu Maharaj in the coming verses in this chapter and the next. So here is I'm just briefly touched, it's a big topic of expansions of Krishna. So they are not direct expansion of Krishna, but they are empowered to perform certain activities on behalf of the Lord. So in summary, we can see that how sages are so powerful and they are so compassionate. So they, for the welfare of mankind, they churned the body of King Avena, and then from his body came Prathu Maharaj and Archi Mata. So, and Prathu Maharaj, as we know, is the Shaktavesh avatar, and he would be doing all the welfare activities for the mankind, and how they are so powerful. So we touched upon different aspects, that why they are so powerful. Most importantly, they are associating with the Supreme Lord, and they imbibe all the qualities of the Supreme Lord. And then we discussed the purification process. So we touched how first the impurities come out after churning, and that happens with our chanting. So all the dust in our heart, which is settled, is suddenly agitated and it rises up. And but the chanting process is so powerful that eventually all the dust and all the impurities, all the anarthas will be removed. So after bhajan kriya, we get the anartha nivritti. And then the test of our active relationship is firm faith in Krishna. So we do all the activities of our daily sadhana, but that is passive relationship unless we feeling joy and bliss after performing those activities. And then the test is that we are firm in our faith for Krishna. And then the last one, we touched upon the different avatars, and this was the Shaktavesh avatara. So yep, I'll stop here. Any corrections or any additions or any questions, Prabhujis and Matajis? Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Yeah, they are. So it is said that they are uh, forms of divine absorption, Bhagavad Avesha. So that is how they are describing them. Uh, so even the chart also explains that how they are. I think what it says is here. Yeah, so living entities are directly empowered. So, but they are not like, they are more direct expansions of Lord Vishnu. But the others, the seven which we discussed, they are more like jivas which are empowered by the Lord. Yeah, they are. Yeah, but again, they are plenary portions of the plenary portion of the Lord. Again, so they are not really direct incarnations. So direct incarnations, as we said, first comes the Vaibhava Prakash, which is Lord Balaram, and from him comes the Prabhava Prakash, which is then the four Vishnus in the four Vaikunthas, which are, I think it's very small letters. So it says Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna and Aniruddha. So these are the four. So these are expansions of Lord Balaram, and then from them also again the fourth expansion comes. So that is how the this Vilasa Prakash is. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Babuji. Thank you, Babu. So in the lecture also Mataji mentioned it, that Prabhupada is Shaktavesh avatar. Shaktavesh. So he is empowered by the special qualities. I mean, who could have performed this at his age, 70? He went to West and, converted all the, literally the hippies into such great sages, and we are all getting benefited. So, and he wrote so many books and translated so many, books and literature is there because of Prabhupada. Again, I am not really qualified to comment on Jesus Christ and what kind of, because he is Son of God. He's what kind of expansion he is, I'm not sure. But my knowledge is not that great in regards to Christianity and appearance of Lord Jesus. Christ. Yeah. But from what I know, little I know, he's son of God. That's so he's not God, but he's son of God, messenger of God. Yeah, so he's empowered jiva, and but I'm not sure what kind of expansion, because even there, scriptures do not really describe, or I don't know. I'm not aware. If someone else is, then they may share. Yeah. Yes, bro. Yes, so we are getting benefit. So we may discuss this in the uh, lecture as well. So yes, uh, regardless of what stage of chanting we are, whether it is offensive or we are in the pure state, definitely we will get benefit. Or in general, people who are coming and taking darshan of the Lord and not chanting. Yeah. Again, this is Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that I would reciprocate according to the surrender level of surrender. So the more they are surrendered, I mean, if they have material desires, and Krishna is the fulfiller of all the desires, so Krishna can fulfill. I mean, no matter how they come, there are four types of people who come to Krishna, and Krishna is glorifying them as their magnanimous souls. So Artha, who are after money, people after knowledge, and Jnana. So they are depends on what is our motivation to come to the Lord. If it is just material desires, even then Lord is still glorifying them. Oh, he's my son, he's still coming to me. And I've heard it from my Shiksha Guru, is just sitting here and blessing me. So yeah, so I mean, they will get benefit, but according to the level of surrender, Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah. Yeah. So again, I have not done my research, but Eklavya, I mean, not really considered a great soul. I'm not really sure about that. Why would he be? But I might be wrong. But I mean, he was not accepted by Dronacharya, and then he fought from the side of Kauravas, and from his lifestyle, I mean, except from following the instruction of his guru and giving one thumb. Apart from that, I've not really heard. So I'm not entirely sure why he would be glorified. But again, as I'm not aware of much about that sect. Yeah, I don't know about him. So yeah, yeah, yeah. Bahuka is the one which is, yeah. I mean, it's a Neshada is the community, and Bahuka is the personality who came out from the body after churning of the thighs. Yes, Prabhuji. Oh, Prabhu, if I had known, I won't be sitting here. Great question, though. But unfortunately, I'm not even qualified. And I said I'm not even qualified to be sitting here. I'm just getting your blessings and doing my service. I have literally no idea. But Prabhupada says you can become a pure devotee in 1 second. So, Sarva Dharman Parityaja, Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. So it means that if you surrender to me, Prabhupada says in 1 second you will become a pure devotee. The moment you surrender. But the surrender, how long that takes, we don't know. It may take 1 second. As soon as you surrender, you are a pure devotee. So, yeah, I mean, it may take less than a second to millions of lives. It just depends on that soul's journey. Yeah, I mean, that shloka means complete surrender. And then it is again explained by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Instruction what surrender really means. Uh, but then there are, if you're saying that not completely surrendered, so their journey will continue, and until they are completely surrendered and completely purified, they will keep doing their seva. I mean, sometimes you do get concession again because of our spiritual masters and Srila Prabhupada. Even though we may not have been able to completely purify ourselves during our lifetime, but we may get the concession because of their mercy, and then we may get entry into the spiritual world just because of their mercy, not because of our endeavor and qualification. Yeah, so I mean, again, I mean, I can't remember all the points, but there is a whole explanation by Srila Rupa Goswami what it means by surrender. So there are 6 favorable things for bhakti, there are 6 anarthas that we have to avoid, and then keep performing our devotional service. So that those are the parameters which will determine whether we are completely purified and completely surrendered. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. So. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sure. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for sharing. Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you. Any other? Okay. All right. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. Jai Jai Radhe. Jai Shri Radhe.